In the serene and beautiful village of Umudike, life flowed like the gentle river that ran through it. Umudike was known for its vibrant culture and close-knit community. Among its residents was a kind-hearted woman named Nneka, who was eagerly awaiting the birth of her child. The village midwife, Mama Ada, had previously confirmed that she was carrying twins. Nneka felt the fluttering kicks of both babies and dreamed of raising them together. During a regular checkup, Mama Ada's demeanor changed as she examined Nneka with a furrowed brow. Finally, she broke the silence. "Nneka," she said, "I must have made a mistake before. This child you're carrying isn't a twin after all." Nneka's heart sank with confusion. "But I have felt them both moving inside me," she protested. Mama Ada shook her head. "I thought the same, but today's examination is clear. There is only one baby inside you." Nneka left the midwife's hut with a heavy heart, trying to reconcile her instincts with Mama Ada's professional assessment, unaware that Mama Ada had already promised one of her twins to a wealthy, childless woman in a distant village. The day of delivery came, and it was long and excruciating. Nneka's cries echoed throughout the village as she labored for hours in pain. Finally, as the sun began to set, she gave birth to a healthy baby girl. Exhausted, she slipped into unconsciousness. Taking advantage of Nneka's state, Mama Ada swiftly carried out her plan. She wrapped one of the newborn girls in a blanket and quietly handed her to a waiting servant at the back door. The servant hurried away, and Mama Ada returned to clean and present the remaining baby to the exhausted mother. When Nneka awoke, she saw the tiny face of her daughter and felt an overwhelming sense of love and relief. She named her Chiamaka, meaning God is beautiful. Yet, there was a persistent feeling of something missing. Years passed, and Chiamaka grew into a bright and spirited girl. She often asked about her father, who had died before she was born, and Nneka would tell her stories of his bravery and kindness. Both she and her mother had no idea that Chiamaka had an identical twin somewhere. Meanwhile, in the distant village of Umudike, the other twin was raised by her adoptive mother, Lady Eagle. She was named Adaora, meaning daughter of the people. Adaora grew up loved and cherished, unaware of her true origin. But as she grew older, life became more challenging. Lady Eagle's husband, Chief Ibuka, abused and molested Adaora regularly. Lady Eagle, overcome with jealousy and misplaced anger, refused to confront her husband and instead turned her wrath on Adaora. One day, Lady Eagle discovered her husband's inappropriate behavior towards Adaora. Overcome with jealousy and misplaced anger, she refused to confront her husband. Instead, she turned her wrath on Adaora, accusing her of trying to seduce her husband and destroy their home. "You shameless girl!" Lady Eagle screamed, her eyes blazing with fury. "How dare you try to take my husband away from me?" Adaora fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. "Please, Mama, it's not true. He forced himself on me. I would never do such a thing, Mama, please listen to me." But Lady Eagle's heart was closed. "Get out of my house," she shouted. "You are no daughter of mine. I would never give birth to such a useless child. Get out of my house." After Adaora was thrown out, she wandered aimlessly through the forest, her heart seething with anger and bitterness. Days turned into nights as she trekked through the wilderness until she finally reached the village of Umudike. Exhausted and weary of her surroundings, Adaora found an empty hut on the outskirts of the village and made it her temporary shelter. She spent her days in solitude, her mind filled with dark thoughts and unanswered questions. One evening, as she followed a path towards the stream, Adaora's eyes caught sight of a young woman who looked exactly like her. Stunned, she quickly hid behind a bush, peering through the leaves to get a better look. It was as if she was looking into a mirror. Adaora's heart pounded as she realized this girl was her identical twin. She trailed the girl, hiding behind trees and bushes until they reached a house. From her hiding spot, Adaora saw everything: the warm embrace between the girl and her kindly-looking mother, the laughter that filled the air, and the evident happiness in their lives. Her mind raced as the pieces fell into place. This girl was her sister Chiamaka, and the woman was her mother, Nneka. Bitterness welled up inside her. Why did her mother and sister live such a happy life while she was left to suffer? She quietly retreated to the empty hut where she had been residing, her mind seething with resentment and rage. The following day, Adaora saw Chiamaka with her fiancé, Uche, laughing and looking blissfully happy as they prepared for their upcoming wedding. This sight only fueled her hatred further. Adaora, seething with jealousy, believed that Chiamaka had everything she had ever wanted: love, family, and happiness. She resented her sister deeply, feeling as if the universe had conspired to give her twin everything while leaving her with nothing but pain and hardship. Consumed by these dark emotions, Adaora began to plot her revenge. She wanted to make her family pay for abandoning her and make them feel the pain and suffering she had endured. One evening, Chiamaka went to the stream to fetch water. As she walked along the familiar path, she accidentally hit her foot on a stone. She paused, her heart skipped a beat. In her village, this was considered a bad omen, a sign of impending misfortune. For a moment, she considered turning back, but then she dismissed the thought and continued on her way. When she reached the stream, Chiamaka was about to bend and fill her pot when she noticed a shadow looming behind her. She turned, and her heart nearly stopped. Standing before her was someone who looked exactly like her. "Who are you?" Chiamaka asked, her voice trembling with both fear and amazement. Are you my twin sister?" The stranger nodded. "Yes, I am Adaora," she replied, her voice calm and steady. Chiamaka felt a rush of emotions. She had always sensed a missing part of herself, always felt she had a twin. Overwhelmed, she stepped forward and hugged Adaora, tears of joy streaming down her face. "I knew it. I knew I had a sister, a twin," she exclaimed. Adaora hugged her back, feigning happiness and surprise. "Let's go see our mom," Chiamaka said eagerly. "She will be so happy to see you." Adaora hesitated and then said, "I need to get my bag first. I left them in the bush. Follow me, and then we can go together." Chiamaka, overjoyed and not noticing any danger, agreed. She followed Adaora along the bush path, her heart full of excitement. She innocently about their mother and the life they could have had together. As they walked deeper into the bush, Adaora's expression darkened. When they reached a secluded spot, Adaora picked up a heavy stick she had hidden earlier. Chiamaka, engrossed in her own happiness, didn't see it coming. With a swift, brutal motion, Adaora struck Chiamaka on the head. Chiamaka crumpled to the ground, unconscious. Walking quickly, Adaora undressed Chiamaka and changed into her clothes. She then dragged her sister's limp body to a shallow grave she had dug earlier and covered her with sand, making sure that nobody saw her and that no one could easily find her. Disguised as Chiamaka, Adaora made her way back to the village. She felt a twisted satisfaction. Now, she would take her sister's place, live the life that should have been hers, and exact her revenge on the family she believed had abandoned her. As she approached their house, Nneka greeted her with a smile, completely unaware of the dark truth hidden in the bush. Adaora, posing as Chiamaka, stepped into her sister's life, her heart set on a path of deceit and vengeance. But something significant happened inside the forest. A palm wine tapper, on top of a palm tree, had witnessed the attack. He quickly descended and, seeing the shallow grave, dug it up and found Chiamaka, still breathing though unconscious. The palm wine tapper took Chiamaka to his home and called upon every medicine man he knew. They concluded that Chiamaka was alive but in a coma, needing time and prayers to recover. Meanwhile, in the village, Uche began to notice changes in Chiamaka's behavior. She was more demanding and had lost the coral bead he had given her as a token of their love. Suspicion grew as he observed more differences, and he resolved to uncover the truth. Uche's suspicions about Chiamaka's behavior continued to grow. The woman he loved had always been gentle and kind, but recently, she seemed different. She was more demanding, even asking him to break their vow of celibacy before marriage, something the real Chiamaka had been adamant about preserving. Additionally, the coral bead he had given her was missing, which struck him as odd. Determined to find out the truth, Uche decided to keep a close watch on Chiamaka and gather more evidence. One evening, Uche visited Nneka's shop where Chiamaka was helping her mother arrange smoked fish. He noticed subtle differences in her mannerisms and the way she spoke. Her laughter seemed forced, and she seemed unfamiliar with the shop's routines. Uche decided to confront her. "Chiamaka," he said, "can we talk privately?" Adaora, posing as Chiamaka, agreed reluctantly. Uche led her to a quiet spot and said, "You seem different lately. Is everything alright?" Adaora, trying to maintain her facade, replied, "Yes, everything is fine." "Why do you ask?" Uche pressed on, "You've been acting strange, and the coral bead I gave you is missing." "Where is it?" Adaora fumbled for an answer, her nervousness evident. I must have misplaced it," she stammered. Meanwhile, the palm wine tapper, whose name was Obi, had been caring for the real Chiamaka, who was still in a coma. He visited the village elder, Chief Okeke, to seek guidance. "Chief," Obi said, "I found a young woman in the forest, buried alive. She looks exactly like Chiamaka, but she's in a coma. I fear there's something sinister at play." Chief Okeke, a wise and respected leader, decided to investigate. He gathered a few trusted villagers and accompanied Obi to his hut to see the unconscious Chiamaka. Upon seeing her, Chief Okeke immediately recognized her. "This is Chiamaka, Nneka's daughter," he said. "We must get to the bottom of this." Chief Okeke, Obi, and a few villagers returned to the village. They discreetly observed a Chiamaka and noticed the same inconsistencies Uche had observed. That night, they decided to confront her. Chief Okeke approached Nneka's house, where Chiamaka was helping with dinner. "Chiamaka," he said, "we need to talk." Adaora, sensing something was wrong, tried to evade the conversation, but Chief Okeke was insistent. "We have found someone who looks exactly like you in the forest, buried alive. Explain yourself." Adaora's face paled. She realized her deception was unraveling. Uche, who had been silently watching, stepped forward. "I knew something was wrong," he said. "You're not Chiamaka, are you?" Trapped, Adaora broke down and confessed everything. She told them about her life with Lady Ego and Chief Ibuka, her suffering, and how she discovered she had a twin sister. She admitted to attacking Chiamaka and taking her place out of jealousy and a desire for revenge. Nneka, heartbroken and shocked, could barely process the betrayal. "Where is my daughter?" she cried. Chief Okeke, maintaining his composure, said, "She is with Obi, but she is in a coma. We must bring her back and pray for her recovery." The villagers quickly organized to bring the real Chiamaka back to the village. Obi carried her gently, with Uche and Nneka by his side. They placed her in her own bed, and Nneka wept over her, praying for her daughter to wake up. Uche held Chiamaka's hand, vowing to stay by her side until she recovered. Meanwhile, Adaora was taken into custody, her fate to be decided by the village council. Days turned into weeks as Chiamaka remained in a coma. The villagers took turns caring for her, offering prayers and traditional healing rituals. Nneka never left her side, and Uche stayed vigilant, hoping for a miracle. One morning, as the sun rose, Chiamaka's eyes fluttered open. She saw her mother's tear-streaked face and whispered, "Mama." Nneka gasped and hugged her tightly. "Thank the gods," "You're awake," she cried. Uche, overwhelmed with relief, kissed her hand. "I knew you would come back to us," he said, his voice breaking with emotion. As Chiamaka regained her strength, she listened to the stories of what had transpired in her absence. She learned about Adaora's suffering and her desperate act. Despite the pain and betrayal, Chiamaka felt a deep compassion for her twin sister. She asked to see Adaora. When they met, Adaora was filled with remorse. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "I was blinded by anger and jealousy." Chiamaka, her heart full of forgiveness, embraced her. "We are sisters," she said. "We should never have been separated. Let's heal together." The village council gathered to decide Adaora's fate. Chief Okeke spoke of justice but also of mercy. Adaora has committed a grave wrong, but she has also suffered greatly. Let us not forget the compassion that defines us as a community. After much deliberation, the council decided to give Adaora a chance to redeem herself. She will stay in the village, under the watchful eyes of the elders, and work to earn the trust and forgiveness of the people. With time, Adaora integrated into the village life, working hard to make amends. Chiamaka and Uche's wedding plans resumed, and the village prepared for a grand celebration. On the day of the wedding, the village of Umudike was filled with joy and unity. As Chiamaka and Uche exchanged vows, surrounded by their loved ones, Nneka looked at her two daughters, now united. She felt a deep sense of peace and gratitude. The past had been fraught with pain, but the future held the promise of healing and new beginnings. Adaora stood beside her sister, no longer consumed by bitterness, but filled with hope for the future they would build together. In the end, the village of Umudike thrived, strengthened by the bonds of family and community. Chiamaka and Adaora's story became a testament to the power of forgiveness, love, and resilience, a tale passed down through generations as a beacon of hope and unity.